I never planned to become an artist. I grew up with many aunties, and I had also a nanny who did a lot of sewing, and I also had an aunt who was a batik artist. So I was exposed to this use of textiles at an early age. I chose to study textile design because I thought I kind of segued into making art and then keeping this tradition using the materials that I know the best. In this exhibition, many of them were the first for me. For example, lacquerware was the first piece that was very site-specific, and I was playing around with installations. Free Love was the first work that kind of became very sculptural. The There's No Place project in the main hall of, as well as Payao project. These are the projects that seem to reflect the direction that I'm going. I'm sort of able to use my art to contribute to society more. I am often inspired by folk artists, or the makers of crafts and that sort of things, more than contemporary art. During my education, which is in the late 80s, textile art or fiber art was kind of considered not really part of fine arts, but it was more considered like craft. My professor at the time, he really emphasized the fact that if we were going to make art, it should not emulate any other kind of art. So he really wanted us to create fiber arts that are more abstract. And so these work, even in order to express my ideas or an issue, it had to be done through abstract forms and in terms of colors as well as textures. This time is my solo show here. Well, it's a wonderful experience to actually see all these works that I've done over the past 20 years all together in one gallery. Because a lot of times, when I work for an exhibition, the ones that are not so are just put in storage. And often I haven't looked at them, I haven't seen them in years. So suddenly to actually see them come alive again is great. An earlier series that I've done, Airborne, a series I had worked on during the pandemic. Thailand at the time mostly relied on tourism. When the pandemic happened, the country was closed down. A lot of people lost their jobs. So these uniforms became obsolete. So I started collecting these uniforms to exchange for a bit of money, just to sort of help them in a way, and then turning them into tapestries. So these two works is the same idea. It also has uniforms from workers in Hong Kong as well who suffered economically during the pandemic. The most important thing in order to achieve happiness is, you have to acknowledge your suffering in order to know the difference between happiness and suffering. And the goal is to lessen the suffering in order to, attain whatever happiness that you can. But as I get older, I find that my source of happiness can be found in just the very little things, from my surroundings, from looking at just the little lives, the little living beings, surrounding myself with those who cherish you, and then you do the same to them, for them.